Sprinting for non-sprinter masters fitness athletes, arm position. On the left, you see the amazing Carl Lewis and what proper arm position looks like. And we are going to start with arm position because this is something that I'm constantly working on myself and that I'm constantly correcting in beginning sprinters. It is extremely important, and what I've found is for people that have really never worked on sprinting before, if you can get the arm position down first, it really helps get your legs in sync. So let's take a closer look at the arm position. We're going to go over a little bit of anatomy. So we're going to talk about the shoulder, and you can see the straight line up and down through Carl's torso and pelvis. And then the right arm, the elbow that's going backward, is in what's called shoulder extension. So when we use the term arm, what we really mean is from the shoulder to the elbow. And if you follow the red line from the shoulder to the elbow, when that bone called the humerus goes behind the torso, that is called shoulder extension. If you look at his left arm on the image, you'll see that his left arm, again the humerus, is in shoulder flexion. And you must have this kind of range of motion. If you can't get your arms behind you and forward, then you're going to have a problem with full sprinting. So if you don't have full range of motion, that is something that really needs to be worked on. Here's an image of Usain Bolt, and if you follow, you'll see the same thing. Shoulder extension is certainly greater than 60 degrees in top sprinters and approaches 70 to 80 degrees. Shoulder flexion is somewhat less than 45 degrees, about 30 degrees. That elbow is going to come in front of the torso. And when you're running, you can think about getting the elbow behind you, and that elbow is going to punch a heavy bag. So when you're moving your arms, it's a very, very powerful movement. Let's look at the next slide. And here is a runner, and I love this slide because an image on the left, this runner is running an all-out sprint. And I want you to look at the shoulder position, the shoulder extension, and the shoulder flexion. The middle picture is the same runner running an 800-meter sprint, and the next picture is him running 3,000 meters. And you can see on the left in the all-out sprint, the ranges of motion are significantly greater with the arms. So that shoulder extension is greater and that shoulder flexion is greater when he's running the all-out sprint. I love this picture because it really shows you the difference between true sprinting and running for endurance. And then this image shows the shoulder flexion in the right arm, and you can see once again when he's running the 200 meters, the shoulder flexion is greater, the elbow bend is greater than when he's running the 800 and the 3,000. We're going to go backwards again because now we're going to look at the elbow position. So that's elbow flexion, and you can see that at full shoulder flexion and at full shoulder extension, the elbow flexion is approximately 90 degrees. So the elbows are going to be bent approximately at 90. There's going to be a decent amount of leeway there, but approximately at 90 degrees when the shoulder's at full extension, and approximately at 90 degrees when the shoulder is at full flexion. Interestingly, when the arm moves across the torso, for most sprinters, elbow flexion is much, much less. It does not stay at that approximate 90 degrees. So you're not keeping your elbows bent at 90 degrees throughout the entire flexion extension of the shoulder. The elbow is coming to 90 degrees of flexion when at full shoulder extension, i.e. the arm in front of you. As it passes the side, it's going to straighten out a little bit more. And when it goes behind you, that elbow is going to bend back again, going towards that 90 degrees. Now we need to look at sprinting from the front position. And a lot of things are going on here, so we need to talk about them. Number one, look at how relaxed Carl Lewis's shoulders are. We're going to see a couple other pictures where the shoulders are shrugged way up. That's problem number one. Number two, you can see how his torso is very straight. It's not rotated. That's a frequent additional problem, and that's problem number two. Problem number three is when the elbows get way out to the side, and then it ends up that from the elbow to the wrist and hand, it crisscrosses in front of the body. You see that is not happening with Carl Lewis here. And then we are going to talk specifically about hand and wrist position, but you can see how Carl's torso is straight up and down. It's not rotated. His shoulders are relaxed and down, and his elbows are pretty darn close to his body moving forward and behind him. Here is Usain Bolt in the middle, Justin Gatlin all the way on the right, and once again you can see how everybody's arms are pretty much close to their torso. You can see there's no crisscrossing in front of the body. There's a little bit of forearm angled in when you're powering through, but if you look at the next position, some youth runners, if you look at the runner on the left in the blue outfit, you can see how the torso is rotated, so that right shoulder is rotated very far forward, the left shoulder is rotated back. You can see how the right elbow is out on an angle, which means that that elbow is coming across the body. So instead of all the energy going forward, now that energy is going in at an angle, which makes it really hard and a tremendous amount of work for the pelvis and the lower body to keep that straight. You can see the runner in the middle, how the shoulders are way up, the elbows are way out to the side, and that's a problem. Even though she's in the lead, she could be a lot better. And you can see all the funkiness with the hands, and the hand on the left and the hand on the right. The runner on the right, you can see that the left elbow is way out to the side, although she is more straight up and down. And you can see on this picture's kind of funny, but it makes a point how there's a tremendous amount of torso rotation. There's a tremendous amount of elbow flare out to the side, arms crossing in front of the body, and the head is not straight also, as you can see in all the other pictures. If we go back to Carl Lewis, head perfectly straight up and down. Heads are pretty straight here. There is some bobble. Usain Bolt actually has a good bit of head bobble and a bit of shoulder bobble, but you know, he is the fastest man in the world, so he can get away with it. For most people, that is not a good thing. And then finally, we move down here to Otto Bolden on the left and Justin Gatlin on the right. And I want to talk about the hand position here. You can see how Otto's wrists are straight and hands are completely open as he sprints. Now, on the right, you see Justin Gatlin, his hands are in a fist. So somewhere in between is going to be the right position for you, whether you want to keep your hands wide open. Both of them have their wrists straight, so you can see their wrists are not flopping back or flopping forward. Their wrists are straight, but Otto Bolden, his hands are open. Justin Gatlin's is in a fist. You're going to have to decide and practice and see what's best for you. Probably closer to Otto Bolden. Making a tight fist usually builds tension, and that's the final thing I'm going to talk about. Is you can see Otto Bolden's face is very relaxed, whereas Justin Gatlin is in a clench. Ideally, you're much more relaxed when you sprint. So when you sprint, I always tell people to just think smile. Just put that in your brain. Smile, smile, smile. Keep your lips closed, but smile, smile, smile. And you'll relax your face a lot better. If you can get all these things down, the next thing we're going to go over is some drills for torso and arm upper body positioning.